everybody to another of our Central States Talks. This afternoon we're privileged to have Doug Davis, and he is going to tell us about the National Crime Information Center. I think you'll find the talk informative, interesting, and possibly saving your coin someday. Hopefully you don't have to use his services. Doug, welcome to Cincinnati.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about the Numismatic Crime Information Center. A little history about myself. I've been in law enforcement for 35 years, and 32 of those years have been as a police chief and criminal investigator. And since 1986, I've specialized in the area of numismatic crime investigations. And the reason for that is that in 1986, was called to the scene within our jurisdiction to a coin shop who was a friend of mine, and found him shot, bound to a table, execution style, and about $200,000 worth of rare coins taken. For the next 2 years, I spent tracking down his killers and arrested them, and they were convicted and sentenced to life in the Texas Department of Corrections. Since that time, it's kind of been a passion of mine to investigate offenses related to numismatics. And during that time of investigating that particular offense, I found, after traveling thousands of miles and talking to numerous dealers and law enforcement officers, that law enforcement did not have the resources or the expertise to investigate a crime. And the reason for that is that they're overloaded. They don't have anybody within that department that knows anything about rare coins, and especially the rare coin business. Well, I had my first coin shop when I was 18 years old, and have been in numismatics ever since then, one way or the other. I do the security for about 20 Texas shows, and also I do the security for some national paper money auctions across the country. So the resources I have were vast, and knowing the people in the numismatic business, industry, and community, when you're able to walk the walk and talk the talk, it goes a long ways. Since that time, I've probably been involved with most of the major offenses that have happened across the country. Whether it was Tom Reynolds' theft of $1 million, which we were able to help the FBI and a task force. He actually got some of his money in inventory back, along with the Robert Sinclair serial killings of dealers in the Northwest back years ago. But basically, since 1986, we established the Numismatic Crime Information Center within our police department. But at that time, it's a situation to where it is a special niche, it is a special area of investigation. And it was very hard to get the word out. Even though back in 1987, I helped establish the National Stolen Coin File with the FBI, which at that time was very important because dealers across the country were getting hit by Colombian gangs and other individuals, and we were losing a lot of money, a lot of inventory from collectors and dealers. At that point in time, the ANA, myself, and the FBI put together and developed the Stolen Coin File, which was advertised but very little. And like everything else, is if you don't know it's there, you can't use it. So after that, I would get these calls from agencies all over the country to help with the investigation. But the one thing that I would always get is that why am I calling a podunk police chief in Pantego, Texas? Well, all I can tell you is that I have the experience, I know the business, and once they started talking to me and I was able to explain to them about how a numismatic investigation should go, they were pretty excited, especially in regards to Tom Reynolds' case. His was very unique. It was one of those situations where it was the first time that these individuals hit a coin dealer. But the first question he asked me was, number one, is the guy legit? Number two, is it an insurance scam? And is there really a large sense it's worth over $100,000? And I told him at that point in time he was probably the luckiest investigator in the United States. I said, because number one, these individuals hit a dealer that had a very, very select inventory. The individuals that collect copper coinage are very protective. In fact, they're almost anal about their inventory and collections. Started talking to him, and he was telling me about the case, and I said, well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I said, more than likely, within the next 2 or 3 weeks, some of this stuff is going to show up. And I can probably tell you that it's going to be on the East Coast, up around in New York, or down in lower southern Florida. 3.5 weeks later, 3 pieces turned up in New York City. More stuff started showing up in Southern California around Miami. What happened was, once we got the pieces picked up, we found out that these gentlemen were mafia related, Russian mafia related. It was the first time they'd ever hit a coin dealer, and just for the luck of the draw, they picked on Tom Reynolds with that specialized inventory. However, it took Tom about 3.5 years to recover his inventory because it was stuck in a property room in southern Florida. Again, how do we know that those coins are yours? How do we know that it's not somebody else's? Well, we were able to get with them and tell them that these type of coins are pedigreed and so forth, and so we were lucky in that respect. But that's a problem. It's not only law enforcement, it's also prosecutors, district attorneys, and judges not understanding the coin business, especially not understanding how big of a business it really is. With all those problems that you see in that particular investigation, from 1986, that's what I've dealt with. Up until about 2 years ago, I decided that number one is, it was about time that law enforcement was educated, the numismatic industry and community had a resource that they could go to in regards to an offense related to numismatic crimes. What I did was, in order to get things started, even though we already had it established within the police department, and again it was only me doing that, I decided to start the NCIC as a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, which number one is it is free to collectors, dealers, and law enforcement. It's supported by the numismatic industry and community, which we've gotten a tremendous support so far. But it also gave a central clearinghouse where numismatic crimes could be phoned in, online, telephoned, whatever you wanted to do. But we would have one location where we were able to provide the data, tools, and resources necessary to investigate these type of crimes. Something that's been needed a long time coming, but now we've got it working. Again, tremendous support, and again, it helps the entire area. I don't know how many of you ever have been involved with the police department or had an offense that you had to report, and if you did, what was the attitude of the police when they came, and what did you think was going to happen to your report once you turned it in? Most of the time when I give these presentations, it is, I don't think they cared, I don't think they had enough time, and really they didn't know what to do. Well, again, that's where NCIC comes into place. Again, what we're doing is we're providing a central location to report these types of crimes, but not only crimes that actually stolen or robberies, murders, but also suspicious activity that we feel like is intelligence information that provides us with information with illegal activity within the industry that we can keep record of, that we can track, we can develop trends and patterns in regards to different types of offenses. The key to NCIC is what we try to do is become a liaison between the dealer, collector, and law enforcement. A lot of times there's a lot of apprehension, there's a lot of headbutting between the two. Again, are you doing anything on my offense or not? Are you going to be able to find my stuff? And what we try to do is we try to relieve that apprehension. I'll explain that a little further in the presentation. Again, we have a dedicated website that deals with numismatic crimes. In regards to law enforcement, again, it's a centralized database. What we do is we have investigators like myself that have been investigating these things for over 25 years. When those reports come in, we're able to analyze the data, again, develop trends, develop suspect information, regardless of where it occurs around the country or around the world. Counterfeit coins coming from across the waters. We also keep information in regards to those type of activities. One of the key things of it is we act as a catalyst for dissemination of information. It is critical and very important that the word gets out immediately in regards to numismatic crimes, because we are looking at a window, a time window, because a lot of this stuff goes underground. It's sold very quickly. We've got to determine where we think it's going to go, who's involved with it, and it's critical that we do it as rapidly as possible. The other thing that we've developed is that we've developed a network of experts for law enforcement, that once a numismatic offense has occurred in a certain area of the country, we were able to provide that law enforcement agency or officer that investigating that case a numismatic expert, dealer, or collector that we feel comfortable with, that will be able to assist that officer and investigator during the time of that investigation. It is critical. And that works as an educational tool from that collector or dealer that is that liaison to assist that law enforcement officer during the course of that investigation. We also have developed some training seminars that deal specifically with numismatic crime investigations. There has only been one in the country that's been put on, and that I put on back in 1986. It was the first law enforcement school certified in the investigation of numismatic crime investigations. The website is very important. And let me explain to you and give you an example of why. If a collector or a dealer leaves this show today or tomorrow, drives down the road, and like most Colombians or gang-related individuals that are tracking dealers or collectors, the first thing that happens is a slow leak in the tire, pulls them over, rams their car, jumps out, pulls a gun on them, pops their truck, pulls the inventory out, and takes off. The dealer or collector sitting on the side of the road call 911, and the police officer comes. What you're going to get is a patrol officer that walks up, and you're going to say, I am a numismatist and I have lost my whole coin collection or inventory, which involved a complete set of proof 3-cent nickels in NCIC holders graded 67. And he's going to look at you like you just came out from outer space. And immediately the apprehension on both sides goes up. Number one, the collector or dealer is saying, my stuff is gone. On the other side, law enforcement is saying, I have no earthly idea what you're talking about. I cannot even pronounce numismatist or numismatics. And besides knowing what the definition is. Well, again, that's where we come into play. If that collector or dealer, after he gives everything to that police officer and tells him what he's lost, he's still lost. What am I going to do? What happens is that officer's going back. He's going to turn in that report, and this is on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday. It's going to be turned in. It's going to go to a sergeant who's going to review it. It's going to go to CID. Another sergeant's going to review it. And Wednesday, that collector or dealer may get a call. What in the world are we talking about here? And is this really worth $500,000? That is time that we cannot deal with in numismatic crime investigation. We cannot do it. Something else has got to happen. The good thing about NCIC is that once that collector gets hit or dealer gets hit, if they call us on the phone, if they get on our website and they call us, we will have that offense on there within an hour or two. The next day, that investigator, if we have the crime report and the number, they will be faxed or emailed a numismatic crime investigative checklist designed specifically for numismatic crime investigations. that gives him a detailed description and checklist on what he needs to do to effectively investigate a numismatic crime. The other thing that happens is that he will get a call from me or another investigator saying, what can we do to assist you in regards to this numismatic crime investigation? 9 times out of the 10, he's saying, thank you, Lord, that you called, because I have no earthly idea what to do when it comes to investigating a crime involving rare coins. For a perfect example of that is, Superior Galleries, right before the last ANA, lost about $500,000 worth of coins that happened to be during the transfer of where they were moving from one location to the other. One of the principals of Superior called and said, Doug, can you do anything? Can you help us and everything? We called the investigator. She said, who are you, what are you, and why do you want to know? Well, first of all, I told them who we were with the police department, with Numismatic Crime Information Center. We specialize in these type of investigations. We'd like to help you in regards to your investigation. We sat down, I was sitting down at my desk, and I said, have you ever investigated like this? She says, I have no idea where to even begin. The next thing I told her was, well, is your computer up? She said, yes. I said, all right, numismaticcrimes.org. Okay, I've got it. I said, go to resources. Under resources, I said, go to law enforcement resources. And in there, I started telling her, I understand that they lost about $500,000 worth of slabbed coins, NGC, PCGS, high grade, and so forth and so on. She says, I really don't know what you're talking about. I said, all right, under the resources, go under coin facts, and a lot of it was specific type coins. Able to go on coin facts, it popped the coins up very quickly. She understood what the coins were. And I said they were also stored in PCGS holders. I told her, go to third-party grading coins, and pops up PCGS NGC slabs, and she was able to see exactly what that meant. And then she said, well, they were in double row 2x2 boxes and all this and everything. Again, under the storage gallery, it gave a complete list of Dansko albums, 2x2s, writing on 2x2s, flips, so forth and so on. I tried to tell her some other information, and she said, you know, you're a lifesaver, because Superior is outside right now, and it's the first time that I've interviewed him. And I said, okay, that's great. So after about a 2-hour interview with Superior, she came back and she said, you know, that was great. And I said, why? She says, well, when I walked out there and said that, and met him, and I said, well, I understand you lost some PCGS slab coins in '67 that were housed in some 2x2 row boxes and everything. Their face dropped, and they were so relieved that there was somebody that knew what they were talking about. Well, it works the same way. If you are a collector at home and you get burglarized and they've ransacked your house, took everything coin related that you had, but left your computer, and that patrol officer comes in and you tell him, I've lost my complete coin collection, $1 million worth. It was my retirement, it was my investment, and it contained type coins of all different kinds. And he's looking at you again. I don't know what you're talking about, especially if you're in a small police department or if you're in an outline where it's covered by the sheriff's department. The same thing. You go back, it's the same thing. You get on your computer, numismaticcrimes.org, and run that officer through the same thing. You can show him that what the coins look like. You can show him what they were stored in. You can give them the description. Plus, you are able to give them a resource that will help them during the investigative phase, which is very important. What we try to do in reviewing and discussing these cases with these law enforcement officers is it's very critical for us to evaluate the crime scene. The crime scene is important to me, just like a crime scene is important to any other offense. But specifically related to numismatic crimes, it gives me an idea of whether that individual knows anything about coins or not. If you go into a coin shop and rob or burglarize it, you walk in, you smash it, the front door, you go in, you smash the cases and take nothing but the bullion, you know what you're doing. And you leave all the type coins. You leave all the slab coins. You know what you're doing. Because you left what's identifiable, you left things that we would potentially be able to trace or put together someone of importance if they brought that type of material in. But they took the bullion. So that tells me somebody knows at least something about numismatic, so I can look at it a different way. Now, if they go in and they smash that front door, jump in there and grab the junk box, a little bit of bullion and a little bit of paper money and a little bit of type coins, that tells me it's probably a crackhead that has no earthly idea but needs some money to feed their habit. But also, again, I look at it, if they go in, they don't touch the bullion, they take the type coins, nothing but the slab coins, that tells me I'm going to have to go another route also. Because they're going to pop those out of that slab, they're going to go try to sell them one-on-one, but you know, it's going to be a little tougher to do that. Now what we do is what we help the collector, the dealer that gets hit, and the law enforcement agency, we take care of a lot of the legwork for them. If they tell us, when we get that call, they tell us about the report, not only do we help them with the offense, but we can actually email blast dealers within that specific area of where that offense took place. We will develop a crime bulletin that we will send to bourse chairmen around the state on coin shows for the next 30 or 60 days, letting people know exactly what happened and what to be on the lookout. Again, we will be notifying local, state, and federal law enforcement in regards to the offense. We work closely with the FBI and all federal agencies in regards to that. But the problem that we have today is number one is nobody knows what the Numismatic Crime Information Center, because within the last 6 months we've really just been pushing it. It was a time where that I've had it established since 1986, but it really hasn't been only within part of the numismatic industry, and some of law enforcement knew about it. But now it is critical that we put it into work full force, because of the way the economy is and because of the way I think that number one is that numismatic offenses are going to occur more and more because people are needing money. And I've seen that just within the last 2 weeks with the number of offenses that we've helped with. But it is critical that we get everybody involved. The numismatic industry, the numismatic community, and state, local, and federal law enforcement agency. We can't do it alone. NCIC can't do it alone. Law enforcement can't do it alone. They don't have the manpower. What they do have now is they have a resource that will assist them during the investigation of these types of crimes. The numismatic community has a resource to help in educating collectors, educating the dealers, and providing them with at least some comfort factor that there's something out there that will be able to help them when it comes to, in regards to numismatic crimes. Most of the time, in a perfect example of that, somebody sent in an offense just the other day. We called him back and he says, you know, I cannot believe this. I said, what are you talking about? He says, I can't believe somebody called me back. I said, well, that's what we do. You know, he says, I haven't gotten a call from the law enforcement agency that's had this offense in 3 weeks. And I said, well, we can help with that because we can call and we can kind of kick them in the backside to get them kick-started in regards to the investigation. Or we can find out what's going on to help relieve your apprehension that at least something is being done. And that is a key. That is the key to me, is making sure that we're helping people understanding what the investigative process is, what we can do, and what law enforcement's doing, so you don't feel like that you're out there all by yourself. We will assist and help in regards to that investigation. Again, the success of this is that, number one, it's going to take the backing of the numismatic community and industry. When I first started NCIC, I would not start it up. I would not make it available until I knew it was running and it was going, and that's when I put the money into it to get it started. Since that time, we've had a success in getting some major sponsors. The numismatic industry has been very helpful. Just day before yesterday, P&G has jumped on board to support our efforts. A lot of the major dealers, Kevin Lipton, Lynn Knight, Steve Ivey in his Heritage has been tremendous with us. I've known Steve for years and years and years, and they've been a great help to us. I think within the next year, I think NCIC will be even better. It'll be providing some more tools. We've got some strategic initiatives that we're going to be putting out that are going to involve the cooperation and the help of associations, local coin clubs, and that significant interest right there in that initiative is for you to help us educate law enforcement. And we have a program that we'll be bringing out at the Texas Numismatic Association the middle part of this month, that everybody within the numismatic community will be getting involved with, hopefully. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to y'all, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer for you. Yes, sir.
Could you give us any pointers on what we can do to protect ourselves from theft? Like going to coin shows, coming back from coin shows, and at coin shows?
Well, you know, I've said that. People always ask me that, and I tell them, you know, I really can't do that anymore. I think number one is being aware of your surroundings and being careful of what you do. But nowadays it seems like if they want your stuff, they're going to get it. I hate to say that, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way the world's working right now. What you have to do is do every precaution you can in regards to knowing how you conduct your business. If you walk out to this room and you sit out there on that couch and you open your briefcase and show everybody your coins, you're doing injustice to yourself. If you're walking out of the convention center, you're going to eat, and y'all are talking about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that y'all made today and sold, you're not doing justice to yourself. What you've done is you've raised a red flag, you've created yourself as a target, and that's a problem. But one thing that everybody doesn't understand, as a collector and a dealer, you're not the only one that's a target. Once people know what you have, and once you advertise it, you make a target of everyone that surrounds you. So you just need to be thinking about things like that. So again, it's how you do your business during the course of the day, how you go to and from an event. You know, you don't want to be routine. Never be routine. You know, if you're going to coin clubs and taking your stuff and showing it, you need to be as cautious going to those as you are. I'm always leery about new people coming to coin clubs and stuff like that, because you never know what they're up to. Until they come time and time again, I'm kind of leery about that kind of stuff. So everybody has to have that radar on, just to be on the safe side. Yes, sir.
Is there anything that can detect if they have any RF signaling devices on your car or anything like this? I've heard that seems to be a big issue when you go to coin shows.
Well, I've heard that, and there's one instance that a dealer left a show, parked his vehicle. He got hit shortly after the time he went to the hotel, and they thought there was a tracking device underneath. We've researched that. There is nothing that can, from the Auto Theft Task Force or anything, that really gives us any indication that they're really using those type of deals.
So there's no devices that we could use to tell them that they had it?
Urban
There are
legend.
tracking
It's an urban
devices.
legend.
Pardon?
It's an urban legend, basically.
Yeah.
Perpetuates itself pretty widely among the coin communities.
Right. The deal with Tom Reynolds in his situation was that they followed him. It was from a Central State show back to his house in Omaha, Nebraska, but they followed him all the way to his front door. And we tracked them through gasoline receipts and everything that they used, and they stopped at the same place and everything, so we were able to do that. But when he got home, he took the first case upstairs. When he was upstairs, they popped the trunk, smashed the window, got the rest of it, and took off. So there's all kinds of things. You have to be aware of suspicious activity that you normally don't come into contact with. If somebody comes up to you at a coin show and says, "Man, that's a lot of nice stuff you've got there. How much is in there? You know, I've never seen anything like that. Where are you from? You know, did y'all drive down this way or what?" Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Dealers are the same way. If somebody comes up and says, start asking questions you're not really comfortable with, you need to document that stuff and everything.
You
Yes,
have a way, or maybe you do this, of educating dealers to be on, you know, what to look out for in terms of stolen property. I know you do the listings
Sure.
and things of crimes,
Right.
here's all this stuff is stolen, but how does the average dealer know before he buys a bunch of stuff from some guy off the street, you know, this stuff's hot?
Well, the main thing about that is that a dealer doesn't want to have is a reputation of being like a pawn shop owner or a pawn shop dealer. What they need to do is to have a reputation with the police department is when they see something that comes over the counter that they don't feel comfortable with, if somebody comes in, and I'll tell you a perfect example, just happened 3 weeks ago. A coin shop in my city, they call and say, "We just got ripped off of a 93S dollar, $5,000. The people, the clerks weren't watching, and it's gone. They showed an out-of-state driver's license for some reason, had out-of-state plates, left, went to a large Dallas firm, went in, sold the coin, an 1893S, and sold the coin and got $175 for it. The good thing of it is that those people knew something was not right. The dealer in our city called around and said, "I just lost a 93S," and started the telephone chain. "We've got it." And they said, "Well, can I buy it back?" And they said, "Yeah, for $175. Well, of course, the dealer was happy. The good thing of it is the firm that bought it got the license information and everything, and we're working on that case right now with Dallas and Euless Police Department. But again, it's critical for dealers to be, when they come in with, you know, a seated $50 collection and say, "This was my grandmother's and can you give me $100 for it?" That raises a red flag. If they bring it in, "Can you give me, can you tell me what it's worth? And I've got a bunch of other coins I'd like to bring in," and they have no earthly idea, it raises a red flag to me. And it should raise a red flag to them. Sometimes they will go out and they'll buy something off the magazine stand, get enough information, know just a little bit. But, you know, a dealer with a good sense will be able to figure out whether it's. Now, there's a lot of times that people know what they have and they can sell. A lot of times police departments say, "You know, one silver dollar's just like the other." Well, that's true. But in the case of an offense where a lot of coins were taken, if there was a 10 seated $50, there was 10 high-grade XF shield nickels, high-grade Indian head pennies, and a bunch of silver dollars. If somebody comes into a shop that has 2 or 3 shield nickels, 2 or 3 Indian head nickels, and some silver dollars, and they've heard about an offense like that, that is enough to give us a person of interest. And if that dealer clicks onto it and helps in regards to remembering that offense and someone's taken, then that's going to give us a better advantage of going out and trying to track down those people and track down that inventory that was stolen. So, anybody have anything else?
Sounds to me like if I have a home robbery, I need to call 911 and then call you.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan. The other thing of it is, on the resources for collectors and dealers, there's downloadable forms in regards to property loss forms, inventory forms, those type of things that'll help you. Especially the property loss form, which is basically the form that I designed for the FBI's National Stolen Coin File that's housed with the FBI. And it details coins. It gives you a circle. It blocks it out into different sections so you can identify die cracks, cuds, whatever it is. Because the FBI and the Stolen Coin File will not put anything in their system that's not over $2,000 or can be identified. But we have worked with them when there's a large amount of things taken that we're able to put in there. But again, not everybody knows that this FBI Stolen Coin File still exists. But those forms are very, very helpful. I encourage anybody that has any thoughts and ideas about how NCIC can work better. We've got a lot of things going, a lot of things that will be happening in the future. I think of it as probably going to be one of the key things in regards to the reduction in or crime prevention related to numismatic crimes. At least the bad guys have got somebody that's going to be after them along with law enforcement. So if there's anything that we can do for y'all, we'll be glad to. Just, you can do it online, contact me, Doug at Numismatic Crimes, or give us a call on the phone.
Should be helpful to you in the future now that the grading service